Greetings, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Red Pill Diaries. And I'm your host and friend, Rashid. Thank you all for joining me and giving me a little bit of your time. I want to discuss a few things with you before we go further. I could have canceled the show today. I wasn't feeling up to it. And then Alex and I, you have to be kidding me. Hold on, everybody. Hold on, everybody. You have to be kidding me. Everybody, hold on 1 second. I cannot believe this. All right, here we are. We're trying to power up. Are they tripping or what? Hold on 1 second. We're trying. We lost our visual camera. Hold on, everyone. Oh my God, they are tripping like this. They are tripping. Hold on, everyone. Hold on. This has never happened to me before. Hold on, everyone. No lie. Hold on. I can't even see my dashboard. Everyone that's watching me, do you see this foolishness? This is not real. Hold on, everyone. This is not real. I'm in my area where we're rearranging stuff. And you're going to have to excuse me for a second. If we're live, let me check my phone, see if we're still on the air. Man, what is going on here? I see Holly is in the building. I see you on my phone, Holly. Everybody that's on Rumble, Odyssey, Twitter, Twitch, locals. I cannot see my dashboard. I can only see what my cell phone is showing me. These people they've stooped to another level on this one. Hold on one second. Everybody, give me a second. I might have to I can't even refresh. I can't. Oh my God. I don't know how to deal with this one. Everyone, this is what I have to do. This is what I have to go through. Everything was working fine. Everything. I checked everything. I checked the internet connection. I checked the speed. My son, we checked the data on the computers to make sure it wasn't running slow. Everything, as you can see in the intro coming up, there was no problem. I have no dashboard. You know what? I'm going to show you what it looks like, okay? Let me see if I can take a picture of this. Everybody, hold on 1 second to show you what I'm talking about. This is what they're doing to me right now. Let's see. Move this out of the way. Boom. Okay. I'm going to show you what I see on my screen. If you can see, there is no dashboard at all up there. None. You see? It disappeared as soon as I started talking to you guys. It just disappeared. I don't know why. Well, we know why. I want to ask you all, it's not going to stop the show. It's not. For those of you, please, for those of you who are new to the show, this is something that we have to deal with, almost every show. It's unreal. Let me show you again so that everybody can see this for themselves. To know that Rashid is not making any of this up. Let me turn it sideways. You'll get a better view sideways, I believe. All right, there it is. Look at that. No dashboard whatsoever. Just disappeared. As soon as I started my introduction, the dashboard disappeared. So I can't control clips. I can't see you guys. It's not telling me any numbers. I see in the bottom now, in the guest booth. They show me in the guest booth. I'm the host. I'm in the guest booth. And I'm gonna tell you what this is about. This has everything to do with the show at hand. So we're not gonna let this stop us, okay? I might have to go out of the thing and come back in, or I might just have to cancel the show or whatever. But I'm going to talk to you for a few minutes. I was talking to Alex. He was triple booked, so we were trying to figure out which show could be pushed back. And of course, and you know, I'm not an arrogant guy, and I know that if I allow my show with him to be pushed back, he'll give me one or two shows back to back. You know, so me, hey, I told him, hey, we can do it Monday. Monday at, I think, what is it? What did we agree on? I can see it on my phone. They can't do anything on my phone. Monday at, let's see where it's at noon Eastern time. So it'll be the same time, 11 o'clock Central time with Alex. With Dimitri. Tomorrow we're supposed to have Alex on. We'll see how that works, because we see now that there's a great sabotage for my channel. And let me explain to you before we go into the show a little bit, because I'm going to keep going with the show regardless of what's going on, okay? I should try on another platform and see if I can pull it up. Anyway, let's see if I can settings. I've never seen this happen before in my life, everybody. But I'm going to tell you why this is happening. We contacted StreamYard, we contacted YouTube, and we were trying to tell them, listen, man, what's going on doesn't have to keep going on. We know what you're doing. We have pictorial evidence, video evidence that there's a effort to deliberately sabotage the show. All right, and we're just asking you all, listen, if you don't like our show, that's cool. Just leave us alone. We're not out there promoting violence. We're not promoting hate. We're not promoting sabotage or insurrection against the government. We're not doing any of those things. So why are you so adamantly against us and trying to stop our rise? Why are you taking our subscribers? Why are you doing this, and this? We didn't get the response back that we were hoping for, but we knew we weren't. So we took the issue to the FCC. Okay, we took the issue to the FCC, and it's in the hands of the FCC. Do we expect anything to come out of this in our favor? No. The FCC is a government commission, right? A government entity. But we wanted a paper trail, and it is ironically that these things are now happening that has never even happened. You know, we've seen sabotage on this show before, but this is to another level where I cannot even access the show. And I'm going to show you, matter of fact, it just changed on my dashboard. Everybody, let me show you something before we get into the news. I got to show you just how it changed on my dashboard, because people will not believe this. This is live. So you see me taking the pictures. All right, boom. Let me move this down. So they're showing clips that I have to the side. No dashboard, no nothing. Just clips on the side. And me in the guest booth at the bottom. I'm not even, they don't even show my main, nothing, anything. So I'm talking to you just on the strip that I'm looking at you guys through on my phone. Now I want to ask any of you, does this happen to Danny Hafong? And these are shows I respect. So when I'm saying this, don't think this is a hate against them, because these are shows I do respect and I do watch from, you know, and I think they have good content and I think they have good guests on there. So do not even take this the wrong way. What about Deep Dive? What about Judge Knapp? Huh? Our guy, my guy, does it happen with my guy, Glenn Deason? Does it even happen with my guy, Dimitri Lascaris? So if these things does not happen to shows that have 50,000, 100,000, 200,000, 300,000, 400,000 subs, why do they constantly happen to my channel? And my channel is constantly being robbed of subs. And look what happened. They took the narrative from the show because I can't see the dashboard. I can't really communicate with you guys the way I really want to. And we're discussing how they're sabotaging the show instead of us discussing some of the most strategic matters that just took place recently. About how 70 more, I think it was upwards of 70 more nations have said that they not only have an interest in joining the BRICS organization, but they are now preparing to make a legitimate pleas to join the BRICS organization. Or what about the major breakthrough in Chinese sub technology? Or what about the Chinese mining the rocks on the dark side, so-called dark side of the moon? Or what about the strategic military agreement that is being signed between the president of the Russian Federation, Vladimir Putin, and the leader of North Korea, or the People's Republic of North Korea, Kim Jong-un? We can't focus on that because of what they're doing here. You see what I mean? If this is not sabotage to another level, you tell me what is. So I'm talking to you guys, looking through the face of my phone to make sure that I'm still here. And other people, they will tell me, and I understand, they'll say, well, just stream to Rumble or stream to Odyssey. That is cool, and I would do that, and I know that I would have a better chance of getting a straight show. But guess what? Doing that, I have to stream most of to stream to Twitter, Locals, and other platforms. I still have to use StreamYard. And StreamYard is the common denominator of all of this stuff. You understand? So this is a deliberate attempt to run you away, the ones that stayed after they unsubscribed the other ones, and to give a black eye to my show, right? And to stop the growth, to frustrate you and to frustrate me. And I'm not going to lie, I am frustrated. But guess what? We're going to go into the news a little bit. I'm going to spit in the face of those who are trying to stop the show. Okay? Here's another headline right here. Malaysia moving to join the BRICS. This is from the Malaysian Prime Minister. Let's see what it says here. We're not going to stay on long because I have no dashboard. I have no control over anything that's going on. And this is crazy. It's like a piece of puzzle that they've done. A piece of puzzle. And I cannot. What the heck? You got to be kidding me, bro. Come on, stop this. Everybody, hold on one second. This is unreal. You got to be kidding me. Anyway, the article is Malaysia moving to join BRICS PM. That's what the PM says. Kuala Lumpur has made its decision. Anwar Ibrahim has said Malaysia has decided to apply for BRICS memberships and will start filing the official paperwork soon. Now, this is major. See, they want us preoccupied with how they're trying to sabotage the show, but this is major because Malaysia is a major player, a major power in Asia. And the United States has been trying to court Malaysia and try to bring Malaysia on its side in its provocations against the Chinese. And now with the prime minister, the head of state of Malaysia, openly stating that the paperwork will start being filed for actual membership in the BRICS. This means that, listen, the BRICS organization, or what we call the Global South, is growing at such a rapid pace that now I understand what Sergei Lavrov was saying when he said, hold on, we have to put the brakes on it just for a minute because there are so many applicants right now. by saying that, he brought something to mind. The nations are trying to rush out of the dollar. They're trying to rush out of the pound. They're trying to rush out of the euro. They're trying to rush out of this so-called rules-based order. That's why you have them under the cover of BRICS, joining the BRICS, because they'll be bound to the rules under BRICS. Do you understand? At the same time, they don't want it. They don't want to seem. Some of them don't want it to seem as though they have a military component to this. So before they even talk about the Shanghai Cooperation Organization, you see them openly stating that they want to join BRICS. This is not good. I was reading, matter of fact, I wish I could pull this up. Last night I was reading something. Let me see if I can pull this up. I told you one monkey don't stop the show. That monkey StreamYard or that monkey YouTube, it's not going to stop the show. It may impede it just a little bit, but we're still going to get some truth out, okay? All right. Let's see. I hope I can pull it up. I just want you to see. I mean, here's something. And it's stuck with me. Let's see. Can we pull it up? I believe they moved it to the back page. Hold on one second, everybody. I'm going to see if I can pull this up. All right, pulled it up. So, I was reading this yesterday, and as I was reading it, you know, I don't. Sometimes I may read through an article real fast, and then I may sit back and ponder over it. And sometimes when I'm reading an article, I may stop every sentence or I may stop every paragraph and ponder over it to see the weight of that paragraph or that sentence. All right. And so this article was titled, China Castigates G7, the so-called Global 7, which is the Western nations, okay, for turning into a tool of U.S. Western global hegemony. Now, first of all, China knows that the G7 was always a tool of Western hegemony. They know that the G7 was always a tool of Britain and the United States. And if you hear the squeaking, this is this chair. My children have been spinning around, and so we got to deal with that, okay? And every time I move, it moves. But anyway, and we're not in my office area, so everybody, you got it. We're trying our best to do this. Let me see if I can blur this again. Hold on one second. Let me see, because it's supposed to be. I don't understand what happened to. I can't even access anything. This is crazy. Anyway, so everybody, please give me. Let's see if they're going to allow me to do this. If you guys will, I might go out of the studio for a second. Stay right here. I'm going to see if I can refresh the screen and come out of the studio and then go back in. Okay, give me 1 second, everybody. Let's see. Will they allow me to do this now? It is telling me that if I do, it will stop the show. So hold on 1 second, everybody. This is crazy. I can't. Oh man, this sucks. Everybody, I can't even access my dashboard. This is absolutely crazy, bro. Random Zerd, they are sabotaging the show again. I don't even have a dashboard. They unblurred my blurry background because I'm in the area that we've taken walls down and everything else, and we're putting in new installation and all of this stuff like this on certain parts. So, and we're bombing the place and this area. It's just crazy. So we had this blurred. It's no longer blurred. As I showed the audience, there's no dashboard up here. I'm talking to you all. As you see me keep looking down, I'm talking to you all through the phone. Because I have no access to anything. So we're gonna talk. Let me go back to this real quick, and I'll try to address this a little bit. And if they do not allow me to, what is this? Let's see. Everybody, if I wonder if I try something, do you have the patience? Does everybody have the patience? If this thing stops on us, we're going to do a show. We'll try to do a show later today. If not, we're going to do one tomorrow with or without a guest. I'm going to try to go out of here and come back in. It may let me back in, it may not, but I got to try this because I cannot do this like this. So I'm going to shut this down on my end in this dashboard and try to come back in. Stay put, and I'm going to try to come right back in. Let's see. Ha! I'm back on. From the bottom of my heart to the depth of my soul, I apologize for them doing me like this. I have no control over it. Again, for those of you who are just joining us, our guy Demetrius, he was first of all, I was kind of feeling under the weather today, but Demetrius hit me up and he and I have decided that he can come on Monday at this time right here. It was a last minute move because he triple booked himself, and I did not want to find him, put him in such a bind where okay, he has to choose my channel and let go of these other big channels where he can get more props, and because he goes around the world and covers a lot of very pertinent issues and a lot of important things. He's an international lawyer by trade, and he speaks on a lot of global issues. So YouTube says my channel is 4,000. This man can be on channels that are 200, 300, 400,000. That could further his channel. And then maybe when he comes back on, he can help further mine, even against the censors or whatever. So I think that was the strategic and the smart thing to do. All right. So again, this is the background is what was supposed to be up from the jump. One of our news background, one of our thumbnails. And I hope the people on Rumble and Odyssey and the other platforms were a little patient. But I also this is a teachable lesson here. When the devil throws stuff out at you to frustrate you, to fluster you, to try to disorientate you, to embarrass you, or to try to make you quit, you use those moments. You don't let that devil beat you. You use those moments as teachable moments. Now, I ask you all, as we talk about this stuff and about this issue about the global geopolitical and economic scene, why are they so scared of this channel, and why are they so focused in on me and preventing my channel and my subs from being able to discuss pertinent issues? Why? That is a question. That is a key question that you should be asking. Why? Why are they so focused that they are implementing strategies that they have never implemented on any other platform, whether that platform had 10,000 subscribers or 10 million subscribers? but they are implementing them on me, and they are continuing to push them against me in this platform. The question is, why? Huh? And if you've been a part of this red pill family here, and if you've seen at least one show or multiple shows, the question is self-answerable. Right? It answers itself. All right. So let's go back to something. All right. And then we'll try to do this and go from there. Okay. So the title of the article is China castigates G7 for turning into a tool of U.S. Western global hegemony. Well, that was from its inception to be a part of U.S. UK global hegemony. To pretend like it was an inclusive club, but in reality, it was in no way inclusive. And it was all about furthering the so-called rules-based order, right? But China gets it right in this thing here. I've been saying this when you hear a certain point in this, I have been saying this because the West only comprises 10% of the population. They constantly talk about the global community. And all of Europe, all of the United States, Canada, and Australia, and New Zealand only comprises 1/10 of the global population. And yet they want to dominate every aspect, every nuance of global politics, economics, and culture. Why? Let's go into this article a little bit. It says Beijing Sputnik. The G7 group does not represent the international community, and it is gradually turning into an instrument that ensures the global hegemony of the United States and Western countries, Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesman Lin Zhang said on Monday. The G7, and this is a quote, the G7 has long since abandoned its initial intention of coordination and stabilizing the international economic environment, and now more and more becomes a political instrument for ensuring the global hegemony of the U.S. and the West. Stop right there. When has the G7 had intentions of stabilizing the economic environment? It has never been. The only time the G7 even try to stabilize it is when they feel that they're losing their position and it's becoming untenable or shaky. They have never, in the history of the G7, elevated nations from poverty to prosperity and independence. The nations that they've worked with, that they viewed as lesser, they suppressed them, balkanized them, or beating them down economically, and then stole the resources. That was from the inception of the G7. Did they make Zimbabwe an equal? I'm asking you all this. Because remember, prior to British and U.S. sanctions, which were followed by Australian, Canadian, and the rest of European sanctions on Zimbabwe, under Robert Mugabe, the Zimbabwean dollar stood at parity with the U.S. dollar. I'm going to say that again. The Zimbabwean dollar was at parity with the U.S. dollar. They make you see this Walt Disney that they use to make you think that Robert Mugabe and his government were unable to govern the nation, and the policies initiated by Robert Mugabe and his government were a major detriment to the country and broke its economic rise and broke its agriculture and broke its political system. That is not what happened. That is not what happened. And it's all you have to do is go to, you don't even have to Google it. Go to Google's minion, YouTube, and pull up Robert Mugabe. I've just been disconnected from locals. Matter of fact, I'll show you. Talking to you guys. I've just been disconnected from locals. Let's see if I can show it now. Oh, you can't see it now because now I got the blur in. But I was just showing. Hopefully you can. Hold on. Let me see it from an angle. There we go, from that angle. If you focus in on that pink, there's a pink square up there. For those of you who have good eyesight, you can check and you'll see we're having problems streaming to your destination. That's locals. They've cut me off over there. This is what StreamYard just did. Okay? While I'm talking. So now listen. See when I'm saying stuff, it's pissing a lot of people off. But there's an old saying on the streets. It's better to be pissed off than to get pissed on. And no, piss is not a vulgar word for you Christians. It is in the Bible. And for the scholars, it is in other historical and religious books also. Okay? So don't look at it like that. Now, so let me just try to get this. Okay, we got that off the screen real quick. So now, I guess I'm really making the people that run these platforms mad. So they're trying to hush me up. That's a hard thing to do. That's a hard thing to do. But listen, let me find this article again because somehow it just disappeared off my screen as I was talking to you guys. Let's see, where is it? We'll go back to that. There we are. I found it again. You can't stop this. So listen. Let's go back to Mr. Mugabe. Mr. Mugabe was in and out of Britain, in and out of the so-called UK, all right? And they came up with deals. The problem was when Mugabe said, hold on, Britain, hey, we cannot let you guys control our mining. We cannot let you guys get this stuff for pennies on the dollar. This is not. I'm the leader of the country as the president, the newly minted president. But hell, I got people I have to deal with. You just can't take this stuff the way you were taking it when we were Rhodesia under Britain, named after the guy that you got. They got the Rhodes Scholar, Cecil Rhodes, who was a mass murderer. Cecil Rhodes was a mass murderer. All right? Google it. Google it. So don't get your Rhodes scholarships, okay? But anyway, and that's why they named the country Rhodesia. All right? The occupied land. And it became Zimbabwe. And when Robert Mugabe started instituting policies that were going to be beneficial to the people who were exploited, that was a no-no to the US and the UK because now their money is getting cut off. Now I want to bring something up to you all because this has everything to do with this G7 and stuff. So I'm going to stay on Zimbabwe for a minute. And I'm going to show you the issues of racism, okay? Because this plays right in the hand of this, okay? I want you to think for a minute, for 1 second. Let us just forget everything that the propaganda machines were giving us for a second. Let's put it out of our ears and out of our minds for 1 second. For 1 second, our minds go blank. When Mugabe refused the bribes, right? When Mugabe instituted policies that were going to correct the wrongs of British colonialism and atrocities that the British committed in the newly minted Zimbabwe. The US and the UK and the Western world sanctioned every strategic area of the Zimbabwean economy. They sanctioned every strategic area of the Zimbabwean economy. This is a nation that came up out of colonialism in the 70s, early 80s. I'm going to say that again. This is a country. See, some people, well, it happened in 1874. Hell no. Zimbabwe was fighting for their independence in the 70s and 80s. The 1970s and 80s, not the 1870s and 80s. Listen, because this has everything to do with what China is saying. Pay close attention to what I'm telling you, okay? And you'll see not just an air of racism. You'll see colonialism and racism at a level unheard of. I want you to just pay close attention to this. We'll tie this into this. And all the media said that when the president and the government of Robert Mugabe instituted the Land Reform Act, which was taking the land that was stolen and they had, listen, this is what they don't want you, the land that was stolen, they had his records of this. He didn't just go out and then take the land. They had records of the land that belonged to this family and that family and that family and that family, right? And it was taken under British rule. And he offered compensation to those who were the benefactors of stolen land. He didn't just take it, he offered them payment. And he told them, listen, if you don't take this payment, I can't stop my people from taking this land back. I'm trying to do it. I'm trying to do this as just and fair as I can because they're going to take it back because it's theirs. The British in the Western press went and vilified what he was doing, knowing that what he was doing was noble. And they made it seem like that he was out trying to just take white people's land. No lie. There's a document, I forget the name of the documentary. They have a good documentary that documents how the prime minister whatever his name was going to Britain, and the British was funding him, and how they had him on the Zimbabwean intelligence services had him on video and on audio accepting money from the British elite and telling them what he was going to do. And how he was going to try to institute color revolutions so that he can overthrow the independent-minded Mugabe government and then reinstitute policies that were beneficial to Britain but detrimental to the people of Zimbabwe. They have it on video. Okay? So this is not what Rashid is saying. I'm telling you something that is on audio and video. So listen, let's go. So you say, well, what does that have to do with the Chinese? The Chinese is talking about the colonialism, the hegemonism. To be a hegemon, you have to have some racism in you. To look at that ethnic group or that sexual persuasion as inferior to you and must be subjected and ruled by you. This goes hand in hand with Zimbabwe. Listen to what I'm saying. Okay? Let's go back to something. Remember when I told you to get everything that the Western media put in your head out for just 1 second. Mugabe offered those who were the benefactor of the bloodshed, because the land, what most people don't understand is that the land that was Mugabe was trying to buy back, that land was just not sold to those people. They took that land by force and blood. But he didn't want that. He was trying to look, we're going to give you some type of compensation for this. But I've got to return that back to its rightful owners. The West spent that and made it seem like that the one that was trying to do right was the racist, and the ones who were doing wrong were trying to do right, and they were for everybody. That was crazy. See, you can't, that's why I tell you, when I'm talking to you all, and I tell you about how the West is coming at Viktor Orban of Hungary, and how the West, after they got pissed with him, tried to paint him as this racist fanatic, all right, nationalist fanatic, because, and I don't know if he said it or not, but if he did it, that's his prerogative. He said that he wanted to keep, according to the West, I say, Hungary a majority white Christian nation. And I said, what's wrong with that? That's his nation. That's his culture. That's what they know. What is wrong with that? And so when I talk about stuff, see, I'm telling you guys, I'm a straight shooter. I didn't see anything wrong with that. That is just like in America, you have all these video shooting, and then you'll have this person saying, well, you N-word this, and then it's a blow up about it. If that's what they think, let them think it. It has no effect on me whatsoever. Everybody is always in their feelings about something. So we don't deal with the reality of what's going on. Right is right and wrong is wrong. And Viktor Orban is not wrong for saying what he said. But at least he had the galls, the testicular fortitude to say it. If that's what he said indeed, if that is indeed what he said. And then I just say, you see how fair I am with that. Then why, when we look at Mugabe and what he did, he's racist? That's why when you hear me talking, it takes me a while to talk because I have to give a fair view of this, because Mugabe was trying to do what was right. And he was trying to do what was incumbent upon any leader that was a leader of a people or a nation. He was trying to correct the wrong, the historical wrongs. And this is what China is getting at. The G7, they're trying to, because they've benefited from historical wrongs and occupation and divide and conquer, they have their panties in the crawl right now because the world is moving on outside of them. So I'm gonna finish this with Mugabe, okay, and then I'm gonna go back to this because I gotta finish just like I talked about Orban. All right, and listen, I know some of you might get pissed. I don't care nothing about. I'm gonna speak the truth. I don't care what. I don't care how mad you get. None of that. Because I don't have a gun to your head telling you to listen. All I'm going to do is tell you the truth. All right? And if I was hungry and the man said it, I would pat him on the back and say, hey, I don't see nothing wrong with that. Because that's the history of your country. But on this migrant problem, I'll talk about something else on that, though, because it's Europe that started the migrant problem. And now they're screaming up to the top of their lungs about the influx of migrants. You bomb the institutions that make any nation a viable nation all across Africa and the Middle East. You sanction the governments, siphoning off what little wealth that they have in the paper form of wealth. You go in and you destabilize these governments because you no longer are getting these resources, pennies on the dollar. Then you create terrorist organizations like ISIS, Boko Haram, Sherm, whatever it's called, and Al-Qaeda and all of these other people to wreak havoc on these nations for instability so that your corporations and your military bases can go in there. And then when it no longer is confined to that area and it goes to your shores, you got your pennies in the crawl. So there's an influx. I want, for those of us who are looking from Europe, for those of you who are looking from Europe, listen to what I'm saying. I'm not off Zimbabwe, but I'm gonna bring this up, okay? Right? Just like when I get on those some of those corrupt African leaders, and then I say, well, after I get on them and tell them the corruption that they have passed on to other leaders and that they continue to put in the system. And then I had motive, opportunity, and who benefits the most. Then I have to look back to the European and Western nations. Okay? But let's go to something real quick. All right? It's very important. I've told you multiple times, the late, great Muammar Gaddafi warned Europe that if you bomb me, if you overthrow me, if you balkanize Libya, this would be the ramifications of that. What are we seeing? The influx of migrants, right? Now, I want to ask Europeans this. Do you believe that those nations would be Those people would be fleeing to Europe if the European governments had not put in corrupt leaders, had not put in these corporations that benefit from the instability of those nations that are siphoning off resources, taking them back to the garden while keeping the jungle in a savage mode. Do you believe that those people would go to Europe if they had jobs there? If these sanctions were lifted off these governments, right? If they allowed these nations to independently run their countries without interference. Because listen to me good. There is not one African nation, not one Middle Eastern nation that has a military base in Europe. But there's hardly any European nation that doesn't have a military base in the Middle East or in Africa. So where's the cause of instability? So you implement the policies, and when they don't work out the way you want to, you start blaming the victim. Make that make sense? See, I'm gonna call it like it is, man. I'm telling you, I'm a straight shooter. So let's go back to Zimbabwe. But before I go back to Zimbabwe, all of this could have been avoided had they minded their own business. If you put all of that time, energy, and effort and invested in your citizens and the building up of your infrastructure in your society, regardless of how another nation may be progressing, that's their prerogative, their independent and sovereign nation and people. Focus on you. Get your military bases and take them home. Take your covert operations, take them home. Let them build their government the way that they see fit and let them run their government the way they see fit. Guess what that would do? That would alleviate a huge political burden, a huge military burden, and an unbelievable financial burden off the former colonial powers. But they want to continue their colonialism masked as humanitarianism. Think about that. How in the hell, I was looking at something. France has a colony off the coast of Africa. France says that colony is European. Off the coast of Africa. That is a European country, a colony. Well, see, when I talk about Orban, now you see when I talk about the policies here, I want people to think. Even if we don't agree, think. Because if you're lazy and you don't think, these people will do what they do, and that is exploit. They will exploit. And this chair is squeaking right here so bad. Oh, my daughter got it squeaking so bad. Anyway, playing Ring Around Rosie in it with my son. But anyway, they will exploit you. They will exploit your ignorance. Because that's what they do. You don't think they'll do it to you and they exploit whole nations and continents? Man, stop this. But going back to Zimbabwe, and then we'll tie it into this this G7 thing. So Mr. Mugabe implemented a policy, a land reform policy. As a matter of fact, South Africa tried to institute that exact same policy. Guess what happened? Britain and the United States said, if you do that, we're going to sanction you. You're not going to get any extension on your loan from the IMF and the World Bank. You're not going to get any more loans, blah, 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 blah. Isn't that interference in sovereign and domestic policies? Huh? So, let's go back to Zimbabwe. So check this out. Remember what I told you, that the Zimbabwean dollar and the US dollar was almost standing at parity, like this. They would go up, down a little bit, but not too far away from each other. And remember that the Zimbabwean dollar was not the world reserve currency. But Zimbabwe has so many resources. And before the sanctions, it stood at parity with the US dollar. That's amazing, isn't it? A country coming out of colonialism. It wasn't even 10 years out of colonialism. Why don't they tell you that? They make you seem like Mugabe was a mad racist, right? Now, he tried to institute these policies. He said, I want to correct the wrong. I think there was 3% of the population white in Zimbabwe, and those were holdovers from the colonialists, right? But they controlled 90+% of the agriculture and of the resource-rich lands. How is that right? Anybody in this chat, anybody white, how is that right? How is that right? That you have 3% of the population that is not indigenous to that area, and they control 90+% of the agriculture, the fertile agriculture, and 90-some% of all of the resource-rich areas. How is that? Why didn't Britain sanction those 3%? Why did Britain sanction the government that was trying to correct the wrong? Huh? So listen, let me bring this to a close. So as he implemented those policies to right the wrong, and the sanctions came in, the West went on a media tirade. Even some of the pundits that you respect today still go with that line of thinking, that because Mugabe instituted certain policies, it destroyed their independent farming and all of that stuff like that. They go with that. And they even have some people that they've paid, some black people from Zimbabwe. They even go with a few of those people. They show them on all of the BBC, the CNN, and all of that stuff. But what they don't show you is this, okay? And I'm not going to give you propaganda. I'm going to give you truth. Think about this for a minute. 24 hours before those major sanctions took place, and 24 hours before Mr. Mugabe instituted the land reform thing, where they had X amount of time to agree to a severance package where you will get compensated for that land and be returned to the historical owners of it. Right? What do you think about it? The people who started running the land 24 hours later were the very people who ran the land 24 hours before. Listen to what I just said here. They want you to believe that there was incompetence on the part of the people who took over the farms. But the people who took over the farms were the people who were running the farms under the colonialists. How in the world does that make sense? Oh, I can run this farm, I can manage this farm, and I can grow crops as long as master's standing over me. But as soon as I get the farm, I cannot do the exact same things that I was doing prior to that 24 hours later. Man, if you don't stop this foolishness. See, but that's what a propaganda machine will do. It made you think that those people were not capable of running farms, that those people were not capable of assigning jobs and managing money. But those were the people who were doing it prior to the land exchange. But you see the hint of racism there? Oh, those black people get by inference. They didn't have to say it, they inferred it. Those black people there, they took over the land. They need to turn it back over to the former colonialists, because that's the only way the economy, that's what Britain and the United States did in a propaganda campaign. The very people who ran the farms, when they took over the farms, were under sanctions where they could not get fertilizer 24 hours later. They could not get the things that were needed, the pesticides that they were getting 24 hours before. All of that was left out of that in the Western media to make you think that those black people over there were incapable of running their own farms when they were just running them 24 hours before that. They were just owned by different people. But the people who owned them didn't run the farms. They just collected the resources. It was the people on the farms who ran them. If you think I'm lying, go do the research. Go do it. But by inferring that, by saying, by putting certain things out there, people, they just infer it. It's just on their mind, because you don't have to say that person is a rapist. If you infer it, people will start believing it. You see the trick that they play with your minds, and most people don't read through it or see through it. But let's go to this article. I told you we're gonna see that racist, that tinge. It wasn't a tinge of racist. It was a whole bucket full of racism against Mugabe. Isn't that something? And the man ran the country since independence. And they're telling you that he was a dictator and that there was something going on. Isn't that funny? Doesn't that sound familiar? Vladimir Putin is a dictator, right? The man got almost 90% of the vote of the people. Of 160-some million Russians, and he's a dictator. Right? Under the Carter Institute, President Bashar Assad got over 75% of the vote of the people of Syria during wartime. And it was verified by the Carter Center. During wartime. But Assad must go, and Assad is a dictator. Maduro, the Carter Center verified that he won both of those elections that were contested by the West. You know who I'm talking about? When I say the Carter Center, I'm talking about under the former President Jimmy Carter, the one who is really responsible for Osama bin Laden and Al-Qaeda and the Taliban. His institution verified these, but those people are dictators. But Joe Biden, how dare you question his legitimacy in the elections in America? You'll get deplatformed and banned. But you can question Putin's legitimacy, Xi Jinping's legitimacy, the Ayatollah of Iran's legitimacy. You can question that. But you can't question the legitimacy of a man that don't even know if he's in a room or out in an outhouse. Stop this foolishness. Let's go further on this. It says, and I thought it was just going to be a minute, but I guess, hey, they woke up a sleeping giant, huh? Messing with the platform, taking my dashboard away, disconnecting me from some of the sites and stuff. Man, you guys blow hog biscuits. Anyway, here we go. It says the G7 has long since abandoned, which it never had, but it abandoned its initial intention of coordination and stabilizing the international economic environment, and now more and more becomes a political instrument for ensuring the global hegemony of the US and the West, Lin told a briefing, adding that the bloc can no longer represent the global community as it accounts for only 10%. Haven't I been telling you that? Listen to this. It accounts for only 10% of the world's population, and its country's share in the global economy continues to decline. You have people who comprise less than 10% of the population of the planet Earth wants to dictate to everybody else what they should and shouldn't do, what type of governance that they should be up under. How is that even rational? How is that even just? How is that even sane? That is like me going to each viewer and telling them you're gonna have to live like this. I know you have that job over there, but I need you to come in my yard and quit your job. It's going to be beneficial for you. I need you all to come over on my half-acre property, and all of you join in and rape my property every day, and I might give you something. That's lunacy. That's absolute lunacy. To try to dictate to everybody else what they should do, how they should live, how they should be governed, and how they should look at world events. Right? You guys know I'm right. I see it in the comments. Anyway, so we're at a point now where the world is no longer with that. You have African nations saying, look, man, we're tired of this crap here. You have Latin American nations saying, and listen to me good, when America loses the war, and I'm not talking about the war that is going on right now in Europe. That's just bubbling up. Oh, it's going to get worse. But the worst will happen after this conflict with China. When America is pushed out of her global position, because when she is defeated because she's going to have a regional conflagration in the North African, well, what they call the West Asian region, which is North Africa and the Middle East. And Iran is going to give her everything that she can handle and then some. Everything that she can handle and then some. Right? Am I saying Iran is going to win? No. But I'm going to say America is not going to win either. Why? Because the losses will be so great. And as America focuses herself on China, understand something. China has nearly 5 times the population of the United States. Woo! Woo! 5 times the population of the United States. And by some comparison, it's the third largest country in the world when you add those lands that are disputed. Only third to Russia, which is the largest nation in the world, and Canada, I believe. I believe Canada is the second largest nation in the world, if I'm not mistaken. And then China, then the United States, but sometimes they flip it. But China's going to beat the brakes off the United States and her allies. Some old wise man told me this. Now, I'll never forget, we were having a conversation. We were sitting outside one night, and this guy, he would always talk to me and tell me a lot. So he said, man, listen, when that war in Asia takes place, China is going to beat the brakes off the United States. Now, this is long before, listen, when this guy told me this had to be the 80s when we were talking about this, right? So you couldn't see a war with China at that time. And he got it from somebody from the 60s and the 30s, the 40s and stuff. And he says, man, I was told that when this war takes place, China is going to beat America so bad and is going to roll over Australia as if she was a parking lot. And I thought about that when he told me that. So later on, I'm saying, well, why would he say that China was going to roll over Australia as if it was a parking lot? Because China is not a hegemonic power, and China is not trying to occupy Australia. Then when we got this AUKUS thing, right? And this so-called Asian NATO being built, it all came to light. Boom. That's why he said what he said. That's why he was telling me that. Because Australia was going to enter in some type of military deal, and it was going to antagonize its largest trade partner, which is China. So when China whoops America, she's going to give you a 2-for-1. That's why he was telling me that. I was like, So now this is what I see. Now, mind you, we were discussing these things back and forth, but God bless the dead. He died in I think 2016 or 2017, something like that. He passed away. But the conversations that I shared with this man, he was almost a father figure to me. And those things come to mind when I'm talking to you guys, as I'm looking at the disposition of global politics and economics. And I'm seeing how America is continuing to shoot herself in the foot. And she doesn't need Iran. She doesn't need Russia or China to destroy her. She is doing the death by 1,000 cuts to herself by implementing these mad, insane, irrational policies. And then here's the crazy thing. Her allies, which are not really allies, they're her minions, because America does not agree to equality. You must be a little lower on the totem pole than I am. The only person that can say that they're equal with America politically and economically is the UK. And why do I say the UK? The UK never fully let up on its colony. It went underground with it. That's why you see them in every war, every I don't care, political spat, they're on each other's side. Again, I tell you, it is not the US gold exchange that's tied to the London gold exchange that's tied to the U.S. is vice versa. It's the U.S. gold exchange that's tied to the London gold exchange. It's not the London stock exchange tied to the New York stock exchange. It's vice versa. These are very important things, right? Very important. So let's finish reading a little bit of this because I want to transition to something. It goes on and says, commenting on the final statement of the G7 summit in Italy's Apulia, I know I'm butchering it. I'm sorry, everybody. I'm not European and I'm not Italian, so I am gonna butcher it a little bit. So charge it to my head and not to my heart. I'm not trying to be disrespectful. It says the spokesman said that it manipulates issues related to China and defaces the country. He also said that the document is full of lies and arrogance and has no factual basis. Then here's this other quote. The G7 states that it wants to advocate for world peace. Stop right there before I go further. The G7 advocates that it wants to advocate for world peace. Look in every area, every region of the world that a G7 state is, and tell me where they brought peace. And not just one time, but look at all of the areas and show me where they brokered peace. Did they broker it in South and North Korea? No. Nope. Because they're still legally and technically at war. Did they broker it between Japan and China? Huh? Are they brokering peace between Russia and Ukraine? Have they brokered it between Georgia and Russia? Are they brokering peace between Armenia and Russia? What about how is France brokering the peace between those insurgents that they are backing and arming and CAR, or in the CAR government, the Central African Republic? What about in Mali? What about in Chad? What about in the Congo? What about in Burkina Faso? What about in Niger? Turn it to the Middle East. Are the French, the Canadians, the US, and everybody, are they brokering it in Syria? What about in Lebanon? Iran? What about in Turkey? Turn to Latin America. Are they doing it in Venezuela? Colombia? Huh? Argentina, Nicaragua, Chile? I'm asking, because everywhere they go, they claim to be brokering peace, but all we get is war, instability, death, and destruction. Right? For my Christian brothers and sisters. Isn't that fourth horseman? Pestilence and death and all of that follow that one? Huh? I'm asking. Because everything that was described that was going to follow that horse follows everywhere that the West goes. Huh? And how do you know that that fits a scriptorial position? Because you look historical and geopolitical. You understand? And that's how you can get a understanding of, hey, is that scriptorial? Because the actions line up with this. The life and death lines up with this. Isn't that what scholars do? Isn't that what scientists do? Let's go a little further. The G7 states that it wants to advocate for world peace, but still promotes setting ideology and values-based borders. It also boosts a false narrative about rivalry of democracy and authoritarianism, and uses small clubs to provoke confrontation between blocs. So the Chinese foreign ministry did not lie. It did not lie at all. Hey, you know, before I go further, I have to say this since it came to my mind. I noticed after every show that I've done in the last week or two that the major channels come behind, and for some reason they now agree with what I've been saying. I don't get credit for it. But they even start quoting some of the things that I quoted on the shows the day before or a few days prior to. And that's something. Maybe that's why YouTube and StreamYard is really after me, because I'm influencing the major ones. As I often say, this little channel is your favorites channel. Let me say that again. This little channel is your favorite channel. So we have China telling, hey, man, the G7, they out of their mind. They're only 10% of the global population. I want you to understand something. Holly, my girl Holly is in the building. I didn't even give her a shout out, and she was the first one in the building, and that's a sign of disrespect. And I'm not going to disrespect Holly. I give a shout out to Perseverance, Chameleon, Net Rando, Random. You heard me call out Random. He always knows that I mess up his name constantly. So I have to give a shout out to those people who are always in the chat. And hold on, I got to make sure everybody got those ones. Oh yeah, they do have wrenches. But listen, let me talk directly to Holly for a second, and let me see if I can get a response. Holly, if you had the commodities that I needed, would you allow me to price the commodities that I need to buy from you? I'm asking. It's a yes or no. If you're still in the chat, put your answer up there. Let me see if I can see it on YouTube. Let's see, because I don't go there. If Holly is still in the building. And I'll toss that question to Net Rando also, and to Perseverance Chameleon, and to Random, Random, you know I'll mess your name up. Just put your answer in the chat real quick. If you had commodities that I wanted, or you had products that I wanted, would you allow me to price those products that at a price that benefits me to your detriment? Would you allow me to control the price of the commodities that I have none, but I need, but you have? It's a yes or no. Just put a yes up, a thumbs up or a thumbs down, whatever. And I don't know if they're going to let you. One of you guys put that up in the chat, a thumbs up or a thumbs down, or a yes or no. Perseverance came in quickly. This is what Perseverance Chameleon said, and I'm gonna put you up there too, Net Rando. This is what Perseverance Chameleon says right here. That's what Perseverance Chameleon says. Okay. Now let's go. Let's go to Net Rando. No way, sir. All right, that's what I'm saying. Now look, the Western world came up with the biggest scheme ever in the history of the world. The biggest scheme ever, and I'm talking about, they came up with, hey, I'm going to get some paper. I'm going to put some pretty pictures on it and put a lot of ink on it and assign a denominational value to that paper. Let's see. Oh, Incognito says we want fair prices, or we want, boom, let me put it up there. And look, and this Net Rando, I got to put your comment up there because this is where I was getting to right here, what you said. Incognito, that's right. This right here is a mic drop moment right here. Boom. You mean scam, Rashid. That's what I was getting to. That's why I said what I said. Thank you for picking up that. So listen, the West came with the greatest scam in the history of the world. In the history of the world. I'll get this paper. See, because for me to carry, they say to carry all these coins is not realistic because these coins, they're heavy and blah, blah, blah. Even though if they wanted to, they could have just assigned greater value to the coin, right? The same as they did with the paper. But the coin, for them to do that, the coin had to have a composition of of a certain commodity, and they were low on those commodities like gold and silver, copper, nickel, and all of that stuff like that. Right. So listen. Excuse me. So, yeah, shout out. So what they did, they said, we're gonna get this paper, we're gonna make this paper because we can use this paper, and it is more economical for us to use this paper and assign a denomination. Now listen, to show you, I think when the Americans went into New York, what did they buy? Staten Island or one of those islands up there for $25 or $50? They made the Indians sign paper. The Indians didn't speak English. They wrote the contract in English. They promised the Indians things that the Indians was like, okay. And the Indians signed the paper. They gave them some paper, some money, and took the land. And then when the Indians tried to fight for their land back, they nullified the value of the money that they gave to them. And that's something, right? That is the three-card money on a level you've never heard before. So this is what the West does. The West saw that Africa was rich. As a matter of fact, there was a new study that came out that said, we talk about the wealth of Russia, but they said there was a new study that came out. What is that institute that came out? I can't think of the institute that it came out, but Africa is the only continent on the planet where you can get every commodity, every resource, every one of them. And I'm not talking about in small amount. I'm talking about in major abundancy, right? So then the colonizers, and I can't talk right because that medicine got my tongue wet. That's why I'm drinking a lot of water. The colonizers came there and they did the same thing. I'll give you this money. And I'm not even going back 400 years or 500 years or 600 or 700 years. I'm going back to recently. So we can use Zimbabwe again. So Zimbabwe had a reserve of dollars, of euros, of pounds. And when the US tried to bribe, or when Britain tried to bribe, because Britain was the major instigator in this one. The United States was, but Britain was the major instigator. And when they tried to bribe them, and they could not bribe Mugabe, and they could not break him or have the people turn against him by vilifying him through the Western press, they nullified the assets of Zimbabwe. In words, they stole the money of the nation of Zimbabwe. All of the money that was held in Western currency was sanctioned, was stolen. Aren't they doing it to Russia? See, but Russia brings a lot of this stuff on itself, thinking that the West will one day wake up. Ask any people that has been a victim of the West and see if they'll ever wake up. Look at this. Do you remember at the start of the sanctioning when Russia said that since they've sanctioned us, we will now start transacting. Anyone that wants to buy oil or gas from us will now have to buy it in rubles. And the European Union, they were up in a roar about this, and they were really mad about this. Russia's trying to buy us. How dare they tell us that we can buy Russian oil, Russian gas, and Russian rubles. And we have to buy it in Russian rubles. We cannot buy it in euros. Now, first of all, what commodities in abundance does the European Union control? First of all. And if it's not backed by anything, why the hell do I have to take your currency? And if you're buying my commodities, you're not going to tell me what you're going to pay me with. Go into a cable company. They send you a bill. Or go into a power company where you get your electricity from. They send you a bill, and the bill is let's just say $300. Or if you're in the UK, 250 pounds. Or if you're in any other part of the European Union, 230 euros. Right? They send you this bill, and you go up and then you say, no, I'm not paying. I want to continue with this. Hold on. Hold on 1 second, everybody. I'm getting feedback on it. Hold on 1 second. I'm sorry, everybody. They're doing everything they can to stop this show. Okay, the feedback stopped. Okay, listen. You go in there and you tell them, I'm not paying you in no euros. I'm not paying you in no dollars. I'm not paying you in no British pounds. I just made up a currency called a drachma. It might be a currency like that, but it's called the Rashidian drachma. And I've assigned it a currency, and each one of mine is 20, worth 20 of yours. And I go in there with a whole bunch of that and give it. Do you think that the power company would accept it? Do you think that the power company would accept the dictates of me coming into their offices, telling them what I am not going to pay and how I am going to pay them with what I just made up? Now I can't generate electricity on my own now. I'm totally dependent on the electricity of the power company. And I go into our offices with money that I printed up, tell them from this point on, this is how I'm paying my bill. How would that work out for me? Huh? Y'all, somebody put that in the comment. How would that work out for me? You know it wouldn't work out good, right? Let's see. So, I use that example because Europe and the US, they do that to Africa. They do that to Latin America. They do that to the Middle East. They do that to the Eastern Bloc nations, Eastern Europe, Russia, telling them what they're not going to do, how they're not going to pay in this currency. Now, you need my commodities, and you're telling me that you're not going to pay me in my money. First of all, Russia had to be out of their dang own mind to accept the euro from jump. If you wanted to strengthen your economy, if you wanted to strengthen your currency, and you have all of this abundant resource over here, price it in your money. That way they have to purchase your money in order for them to be able to purchase your commodities. And so when they go on this sanctions tirade, guess what? The money that you held from them, you can sanction also. Do you understand? How in the world do you think you're going to bring me to my knees when I supply you with 40% of your gas, 30% of your oil, 50% of your fertilizer? What is it? 30 or 40% of the gold that you have or that you had, and all of the other commodities. I supply a huge portion of that to the European Union. And you're going to sanction me, and then you're going to steal 300 billion from me, and then you're going to steal the interest off the 300 billion. All right, let's see how that'll work out for you. Yeah. We'll see how that work out for you. And if you did it, my grandfather used to always say this. If you will lie, you will steal. He was a big stickler about that. Don't lie. Do not lie. My grandfather was a big stickler about that. Yeah, look, don't you lie. Because if you start lying, I can't trust you, meaning that now I'm going to think you're a thief too. So now, the European Union lied, and now they're stealing. Right? What comes after, what follows those lies? Theft, right? And now they're trying to justify their madness. They're trying to steal the interest. Oh, this is not theft. That's what Janet Yellen says. Taking the money, the interest off Russia's assets or not, or theft. Okay, everybody, let's go. Let's take what Janet Yellen says, print it out, and go into the banks. And I'm not advocating robbery. I'm just saying it as an example. Go into the banks and tell them, listen, with a note in your hand, I want the interest off everybody's bank account up in here. Give it to me right now because I'm not stealing. And if you don't give it to me right now, then that means you want to fight me, so it's going to be some repercussions. See how that works out for you. They have the police up there so quick before you can even turn your head around. And they'll have you under charges of bank robbery. Right? You were going up in the bank demanding the interest off everybody else's money up in there. It's not your money now. But you say it's not stealing and you have the right to it. That's what Janet Yellen in the Western world is saying. And yes, I am the king of analogies. These people are insane, right? Man, I know anybody worth their salt if they had money and I went in their house and said, hey, look, I'm not stealing your money. I'm going to hold your money. You're not getting it back now. And I'm going to put your money in a bank and I'm going to take your interest off your money. But you're not getting your money back. That's theft anyhow. Even if you didn't take the interest, that's theft. How is that not theft? Huh? Man, let me go back into something. You guys know I give good analogies. But to me, it's common sense. These are not just analogies to get you on my side. Because I don't want you on my side. I want you, if I'm wrong, I don't want you on my side. I want you on the side that's going to benefit you. And the only side that benefits you is the truth. That's why I'm going to do my best to stay on the side of the truth. And we've got to learn that in life, the only side that you should be on is the side that benefits the mental, spiritual edification and growth of a person. And that is the truth. Right? So we see also, as we bring this to a close, we also see, man, what is that? We also see that Russia and North Korea are now strategic partners. And this article comes out, says Russia's strategic partnership with North Korea to symbolize new level of ties. You know, I think that's cool that Russia did that. But you know me, the person that I am, I said, why didn't Russia do it before? See, that's going to build up a lot of, believe it or not, that's going to build up a lot of suspicion behind closed doors. Even though it is a strategic partnership of convenience, it's going to bring, because remember North Korea was saying, hey man, why you guys, we're fighting the same beast. Why you guys continue to renew sanctions against me? Why you guys, and I know they were behind closed doors, they were sending in goods, but I'm just saying, it made North Korea look like a pariah that the West wanted it to look like. And now that Russia feels the ire, Russia understands. Iran was screaming that for the longest under sanctions. And remember, Russia turned its back on Iran also. When Iran bought those air defense systems. And Russia knew that Iran was right when they did that. But Russia, trying to keep on the side of the United States, reneged on delivering the air defense systems. You know how Iran got its air defense systems? They had to sue Russia. They had to sue Russia. And Russia came to the realization that in that court that they would lose. And it would cost hundreds of millions of dollars, not hundreds of millions, hundreds of millions of dollars more than the deal itself. And that's what made them relent and give them the air defense system. Before they were telling them, hey, take these air defense systems. We'll compensate you with this. Iran said, no, we want what we paid you for. We want what you, and Iran was smart. Let me tell you what they did. Most people don't know this. That after Russia did that, see, this is what I'm saying, the alienation sometimes. After Russia did that, and when Russia finally delivered those air defense systems, you know what Iran did? Iran immediately took the air defense systems and changed the codes in them. Nations can't do that unless they are very proficient in technology. Iran went and changed the codes so that there could be no spying, there could be no turning off the weapons or messing with the weapons. Iran made a code for their air defense systems, the S-300, the upgraded S-300 systems. Did you know that? Did you know, on top of this, did you know Iran, oh man, this chair. Did you know Iran has a Russian sub? Most of the subs they make themselves, but they had a Russian submarine. And Russia had been telling them for the longest, bring the sub in. It's time for it to go through its upgrades. And at the time, Google what I'm saying while I'm talking to you all. Iran did not trust Russia enough because Russia had capitulated to Western sanctions. and Russia was slow on delivering the S-300, the upgraded S-300s. And so and Iran thought that if they took that submarine to Russia and docked it, Russia would withhold that submarine after its upgrade. So you know what the Iranians did? They took it to their own docks, and it surprised the U.S. when it left dock. The Iranians, the technicians of Iran, had upgraded the Russian submarine itself to modern standards. I'm not lying about any of this. Go Google what I am saying. Go Google it. And see, Iran was trying to be a friend to Russia. And because I always talk about the positives of Russia, but I always got to tell you that some of this stuff is self-inflicted. Why would Russia? I know they want to win Turkey on their side, because of the strategic positioning of Turkey through the you have to go through the Dardanelles Strait and all that stuff to get into the Black Sea, and Turkey controls that strait. But why would you give a NATO nation without any problems an S-400 air defense systems, and you won't even give Syria an S-400 air defense system? And Syria has been your true and only ally in the Middle East for decades. Huh? Why would you, if you're entering into a strategic partnership with Iran, wouldn't it be more wise and more prudent to give Iran the S-400 and give Turkey the knockdown S-400? See, this is what I'm saying. When you're dealing with these geopolitics, and then you're wondering why a nation is in a position it is in, somebody has to go back. You know how when you have a wire tied up or a rope tied in so many knots, you have to go back and trace the knots and go back through the knots so that you can undo the knots, so that you can actually see the entirety of the rope. That's what we're doing. We go through all of the knots to see what is the best way to get this loop out, and what the best way to get. And once we get all the loops out, we can see it, the straight line, and we can then be able to honestly give an appraisal of the situation at hand. Some of this is self-inflicted. Russia allowed America into Ukraine, playing by international law. Russia allowed you. You don't think Russia have intelligence services in Ukraine? Do you for once believe that Russia had no understanding, no information on what was going on in Ukraine prior to, during, and after the overthrow of Viktor Yanukovych? They had to have some idea, because they got him out of Ukraine at night with their advanced helicopters. So they had to have some sense of what was going on. They did the same thing with Turkey when they saved Erdogan's life. They flew in under the cover of darkness and saved him and his family's life, and flew him to their base in Syria, because Assad gave them the go-ahead. It was through Iranian, Syrian, and Russian intelligence that they were able to save Erdogan from the US, the UK, and NATO nations, their so-called allies, when they were trying to overthrow his government. And listen, with allies like this, who the hell need enemies? Not only were they trying to overthrow his government, they wanted him killed. They wanted him dead, his whole family dead. They were looking for his plane to shoot out the air with his family on the night of the coup. It was Russia's quick reaction due to intelligence gathered from Syrian forces, Iranian forces, and Russian forces that helped scoop him on out of there. What do you think he was broadcasting from when he was telling the people to rise up? He was at the Russian base. What is it, Hamim, or whatever it's called, Hamim in Syria? So, but going back to something, why would Russia give Turkey the S-400 system with no stipulations on it, and then you give Syria, your strongest and staunchest ally in the region for decades, 1 or 2 S-300 batteries, and then you put restrictions on how and when they can use it? No restrictions put on the NATO nation, but all of the restrictions put on your ally, your time-tested, true, through and through ally. America's coming for you. She's coming to all of your allies. Look at all of the nations that were overthrown since the fall of the Soviet Union. Look at all of the nations that were balkanized since the fall of the Soviet Union. When I'm talking about that, whether it's an African nation or whether it's a European nation or whether it's a West Asian nation, they had trade, be it economically or militarily, with Russia. So this was a weakening of the Russian Federation by 1,000 cuts. And then you going on, you gave Greece S-300s, upgraded S-300s, that U.S. forces trained to suppress. The Greeks allowed the U.S. forces to train to suppress the S-300 that you sold to them. And then you would not give Assad Panzer systems. Assad had to get an intermediary, Iran, to finance them. Don't you know that if you strengthen your allies, that's going to make it hard on your enemies? Yeah, you might lose a couple billion, but in war you lose billions. So how about you just arm Assad, strengthen him, stand him up, he'll hold Israel at bay. Strengthen Iran. Iran to hold some of those European nations at bay. You don't have to strengthen China. China now, when you want to look at it, is the most powerful nation around. When you put the economics in it and you put the military, then you put the soft power in it, China is the most powerful country on the planet right now. But why would you hesitate to arm and strengthen your allies, knowing that this beast called America is after you? But you will arm America's allies with no stipulations. How does that even make sense? That's like me going down the street, if somebody's my enemy or a friend of my enemy or my enemy's cousin, and I go down there and say, hey, listen, I just got these extra weapons. Here you go. You can have them, and no restrictions on you. And then I go to my own cousin's house and say, listen, I don't trust you with these weapons. I'm going to give you 2 slingshots. How does that even make sense? What I'm telling you is that now the global atmosphere, everybody's confused because we're close to war. But a lot of this stuff that Russia is going through, some of it is of its own making. Had you intervened and stopped trying to impress the West, had you intervened and reestablished Viktor Yanukovych in Ukraine, you would not have America doing what it's doing. Had you gone on to Tbilisi in Georgia and just got rid of Saakashvili, you wouldn't have them on your southern flank. Had you stood up and warned Moldova and Romania, I don't care if you become a NATO member. If you violate any of these tenets that I put before you, you're going to need NATO times 20 because I'm coming across the border after you. If you look them in their eye, man to man, and tell them the ramifications of all of these provocative policies, and you mean what you say, it'll kill a lot of this madness that you're now facing. You give Turkey an S-400, and Turkey supplied drones that killed a lot of your troops in Ukraine. You don't have no problem with that. But you have a problem sending Assad S-400s, Su-34s to get Israel off his back. Man, stop this madness. I am not the sharpest knife in the drawer, but I'm not the butter knife. Serbia is under pressure. I would give Serbia everything. I call the Serbian military in, the Serbian government in. Tell me what you need out of the warehouses. If international law recognizes Kosovo, you've tried this for over a decade to talk to them about removing NATO troops out of Kosovo and re-encompassing Kosovo within Serbia. It hasn't worked. Get what you need and do what you have to do, and we're going to bag you. That's what America does. What's good for the goose is good for the gander. I am not advocating war. I'm advocating common sense. You don't allow them to pick off your allies one by one. Yes, Russia was not in a position militarily to confront NATO when they bombed Serbia, but they are in a position right now to let NATO know that if you attack Serbia, our Slavic brothers, I'm going in after. You're not going to have to deal with Serbia. You're going to have to deal with the Russian Federation. So I advise you to come to some type of agreement. You see when America and NATO kept ignoring what Vladimir Putin was saying over the years about the strategic importance of Ukraine to Russia and how this would not be allowed, and how they were trying to make the West understand that, listen, this is a strategic threat to me. You have X amount. We're going to give you an agreement. This is non-negotiable. We gotta agree to my agreement. Now, if you don't, there will be technical military responses behind it. I would do the same when it comes to Serbia. Russia cannot afford to lose Serbia. Cannot afford to. I would go to the West and I would tell them, listen, remember what I was telling you guys about this military technical response to Ukraine? I'm telling you that about my Slavic brother in Serbia. Return the land to them. Come to some amicable agreement, honest negotiation, or there will be a military technical response to this because you are in violation of international law. That's what since Russia loves international law, use that. But if they allow the West to win in Ukraine, Georgia, Armenia, overthrow Erdogan in Turkey, balkanize Lebanon and Syria, let them get Moldova into the NATO, and have them to overthrow or to suppress Serbia. That's goodbye for the Russian Federation. That's too much. That's goodbye. Your livelihood, and you've got to understand that the empire is not going to stop. They'll smile, they'll pause to make you think that everything is good, but the empire will not stop. Look at Africa. Have they stopped over there? Has the West stopped trying to recolonize Africa? They colonized it for hundreds of years. Have they stopped, even under the mantra of international law, humanitarianism, independence and sovereignty of nations, right? Even with the cameras and the so-called independent press, has that stopped the West from trying to subjugate Africa again, Latin America again? And if it has not, then guess what? They will not stop until they reach their goals unless you confront them. And their goal is to balkanize the Russian Federation into multiple small countries so that they can exploit it. And they are to suppress and even destroy any nation that has kinship or historical ties to Russia, like Serbia. Look what they did to Yugoslavia. The Russian Federation better get this in their head. What did Putin say one time? He learned as a little kid on the streets. He learned this, that if a fight was inevitable, then he must strike interviews. Or when he was speaking with somebody, well, I'm going to tell Vladimir Putin, and who am I to tell him? But I want to talk to him for a second. Just for a second. Your reasoning and your logic in that manner is 100% right. Now, what is mathematics? Mathematics is you take the multiplier times your multiplicand and you produce a product, right? You come up with a product. So I'm telling you, take that childhood knowledge, apply it to what is going on today, and come up with a rational, sane policy to punch the Western Empire in the face before they get you. On that note, I want to thank each and every one of you for joining me on the most powerful platform for truth, bar none, on God's green earth. This is your platform for education, elevation, and edification. This is the Red Pill Diaries, and I'm your host, Rashid. I'm your host, your brother, and I am your friend, if you want a friend, a true friend. But know that I love you, but also know this, that the love that I have for each and every one of you who loves truth will always pale in comparison to the love that the true living God has for you. And I make no bones about it. I won't serve another. Until we next speak again, stay strong, stay true, but above all things, stay righteous. And hey, Kabari, I did it again. Hey, mama, you're real, baby boy. I love you more than life. Deuces, everybody. I'm out of here. Peace.